What's up, my beautiful people? My name is Rosie and this is Chill Chat with Rosie, and today is a very special day, which is the 21st of November. It is a very memorable day for me, which normally gives me mixed feelings actually. So today I just want to give you a story of a lady that I treasure and love the most in my entire life. A lady, a young beautiful lady, tall. If you talk about physique, she was one of the beautiful models that I had ever seen in that era, you know. And she was brought up from a village, partially from the village and partially from the town, and her name was Liz. Okay, so Liz was a very beautiful lady. As a matter of fact, a story we had that she was born and raised in Seventh-day Adventist. For those people who know Seventh-day Adventist, normally they do not pierce their ear. They don't do piercings. Yes, piercing is not allowed. So for her, she was actually the first lady in her village to have an ear piercing. She was considered one of the most beautiful ladies, and she was a perfect dancer. As in those days, if you go to the club and Lizzie is not there, the club is not a club. Okay? So later on in life, Lizzie got a husband. She got married. She came to live in Nairobi. Okay? And in Nairobi, she ended up, after years, she got kids, and she got 8 kids. Lizzie is one of the women that I really adored and I really respected. The reason why I respected her is because she's actually one of the women that made me understand the difference between a mother and someone who has a child. There's actually a huge difference. That's a story for another day. Anyway, so Lizzie really loved her kids. She really loved her kids. She really loved her husband. I saw her in several occasions fighting for her kids, and I saw her fighting for her marriage. So she's one of the women I really adored. And Lizzie wasn't that educated, but if there is a woman that I consider super intelligent, Lizzie was one of them. She was just everything a woman could be. But then today marks 12 years since Lizzie went to be with the Lord. And the Lizzie I'm actually talking about happens to be my mama. So now I'm celebrating her life. So I want to tell you a few of the things that she taught me. She actually in my life, most of the lessons that I've learned from my parents, most of them were from my mom. So they were from Lizzie. So Lizzie, my mom. So one of the lessons she taught me was that I should never get married out of due to pressure from anywhere. Either pressure because a guy wants to stay with me and I'm not ready for it, or because people are saying this, the society is saying this. No pressure. Lesson number 2: never give people a reason to talk about you. Let them talk about you because they're idle gossipers, but not because you give them a reason. Lesson number 3: the best way to pay someone who hates you is by loving them. Okay, so this happens to your friends, this happens to family, this happens to anyone. I recall some scenarios where let's say we had an issue of a family member who has an issue with us, you know, but then then of course we'll have this feeling, we as kids will be like, no mama, he didn't like us anyway, you know, he didn't like us, so why should we bother? But then my mom would, no, we are going to see that person and you need to get a gift for that person, and you will take that gift to that person. Let his guilt will change him. The guilt he will have after you extend your love, it will change him. Okay, so that's lesson number 3, right? Okay, so lesson number 4: whenever you're going to visit anyone, your friend, your family member, anyone, your whatever, you're going to visit anyone, it doesn't matter their financial their status in life. Okay, you need to carry something to eat or to drink, because it could be the person is very well off, so it means they definitely have something on the fridge, but then what if he doesn't have for that particular day? Okay, so whenever you're going to visit anyone, so that is something we've learned all through the years, we as a family. And even if I'm going to visit my brother, I'm going to visit my sister, I have to carry something or have something in my pocket at least for us to eat. And strange enough, she was our mom, but she would come to visit. She had gone back to the village. She would come to visit, but she will still carry food She will carry her own maize flour, she'll carry her own fish, she'll carry her own chicken, and as in ready. Whenever she comes, just give me tomato and onion and the food is ready, you know? Lesson number 5. So for lesson number 5 is whenever you're eating, make sure you know if your brothers have something to eat or not. So somehow I grew up with this thing in my heart and in my head. Every time I'll hear, whenever I want to eat or I want to buy something that is super expensive, then I'll be like, are they having something to eat? You know, something like that. So somehow I grew up with that, and that one was somehow a responsibility for all of us as family. We do take care of each other, and if someone knows our family too well, you'll realize what our mom left us with was actually love. What I learned from her, those are the things she taught me, but then the things that I learned from her. My mom used to really fight for her family. I remember at some point, I was in school, I was in secondary school, that's Parklands area. Parklands area, my people from Parklands area, I greet you all, hey, 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 hey. So at some point, while she was in school, she told me, it's a story she had given us, while she was in school, she had a teacher who was so much against her. So anything she does, the teacher is just against her. So somehow the teacher didn't like her. So the teacher was so much against her to an extent, but because her mom was an old school parent, she used to feel that the teacher is always right. So her mom used to support anything that the teacher would say. So everything was just against her in school, and she vowed that that will never happen to her kid. I remember there was one time she was called in my school, Parklands area. Then she came to school, and then the first thing, you know how teachers behave in the staff room? So in Parklands area, when you used to enter, the first thing you'll find is the staff room. So when she was passing, and then she's like introducing herself, I'm the mother to ROZZIE. And then the teachers started laughing. You're the mother to ROZZIE, you know, the way the teachers behave. And then she was like, so what's funny? So later on, it so happened that one of the teachers that was laughing was my class teacher. I was in Form 1, you know, and then so she was introduced. Well, this is the class teacher of your daughter, and then they went to class. So she had complaints. The teacher had complaints that apparently I was the mathematician in school then because it was then. So she said, and she was actually our maths teacher too, I think. Then she said that most of the times I do finish my work early, and then I start disturbing people, and every time I'm going under the table and all that. And my mom is not those type. You cannot lie in front of her. She was just too straightforward. Then she asked her, oh really? So she was going under the table, and you said she finishes her job first. Okay, so let's go. Can you just show me that table? When she went to show her the table, it's actually the table that are attached to the seat. So how could the table be attached to the seat? And she was entering, and you said she was going under and disturbing someone under. So how can you go under there and disturb someone when it is attached here? And you know, it wasn't making sense to her. Then so the teacher was like, oh, okay, so this is not the type that you can manipulate. This is not the type of parents that you can manipulate, you know? And then she was complaining, Rosette is making so much noise, and then this. And my mom told her, look here, if you want to complain anything about Rosette making noise, that one she cannot stop. So long as she's doing the job she's doing, just ignore her noise. Because she is talkative, and she got it from me, and that's it. She can't change that. And I don't expect you to change that. So long as she's doing what she's supposed to do, that's it. Never call me for such. And that's how she left. So somehow the teachers would not call my mom for rubbish stuff. You know the way sometimes in school they'll just choose to call parents, just to call parents as if they're eyeglass. As a matter of fact, there is one time she was actually called to school. I can't remember the reason. She was called to school the way the parents wants to complain, and she asked for the headmistress. Mind you, she's not eloquent in English, but she was speaking her Swahili, adding it with English, her little Swahili, adding it with Luo, and the little English she has picked here and there. And she told the headmistress, give me my transport back, you can't waste my time. My time is so, you know, you can't waste my time. And that's how she was given transport. They stopped calling her irrelevantly. Okay, so that was actually one of the scenarios. She used to fight. My mom really, really used to fight for her kids. She would do that at school, but when I reach home, I will see fire. I think this is the day that I felt the most pain. I've never been pained that much. To an extent, I was just numb. I think I was just numb to feelings. I think nothing could ever hurt me beyond the hurt I felt within that time. And then worst of all, I was out of the country. I was the only one out of the country then. So I am in Dubai, and the job I was doing that time, we used to have 2 months permit, and then you have to exit the country. By the time my mom's death happens, my visa is still fresh, which means if I have to exit to go for the burial, it means my visit visa, it means it's cancelled. So so by the time I was told about the death, and in my mind, I was just wondering, I didn't know how my family will take. We had never experienced death in my family. So this was the first one. I didn't know, and I couldn't even try to imagine how my family could undergo the grief, you know. And so within myself, I've always been considered the strongest, you know. But then, you know, the strongest people are actually the most weakest emotionally. So I was literally, you know, the reason why I say I've never gotten enough time to mourn my mom is because within that time when it happens, you feel as if everything is just against you. God, why me, you know? And the mom, you know, that's just a fact of life. You know, when the mom is out of the family, the house, sincerely, it's like the mom is normally the foundation of the house. No matter how you have one of the best daddies, you know, but the mom is actually the one who holds the house. The woman is the one who holds the house, you know. My mom personally never liked me being a dancer because she felt, why did you go to school? Why did you have to go to school and then end up being a dancer? For her, she was out school, you know, and the way she used to look at it, despite the fact it's where I was getting my food, and that's how I could even help them. But then she's still deep in her heart. It's not something she liked. It's not something she blessed much. So I felt it was rightful for me to sacrifice one thing just for her, and that was the last time I ever performed in a stage. So by the time I traveled to Kenya, I didn't even know how to handle my family, you know. What she taught us and what she gave us was just love, you know. So love between our families. So I could look at my families, and I don't know where they are at and how they're handling it, you know. I was more worried about my brothers because I didn't know if they could have someone to talk to. And until today, it has been a topic that we rarely touch. We touch it, but we don't go deep inside and somehow I always feel everybody is somehow hidden in their own cocoon, of the morning cocoon in their own way, you know. But as for me, the reason why I thought of doing this video, because in my mind I felt maybe it will be one of the moments for me to express and offload some of the things that I've been keeping. I've kept them for too long, you know. It wasn't easy. It can't be easy, of course. I'm trying so much not to be, you know. Yes, but then it hit us so hard. Mama, we're fine. We thank God, we're fine. And the God that you left her to, because by the time she was dying, she said she had left her kids to God. And God has been faithful. God has been really faithful. The main thing that I learned was generosity. I recall I was in Dubai and she's in Kenya. So every time when I want to go back home, I'll go back home once a year. So whenever I want to go home, then I'll be like, Mom, I should be coming soon, so what would you like me to get you? She'll tell me, no, my daughter, I think you've brought for me everything. But you know what? There is that woman who lives up there. I think she doesn't have shoes. Would you mind bringing shoes for her? Her number is so and so. Okay. The next time you'll say, Mom, this. Every time you'd send money end month, but then after a while, she'll tell you, you know, my daughter, even the money you sent for me, you know, so and so had some issues and then I had to help out. And then, but during her funeral, when we reached the village, the whole village was mourning her. And in fact, that's where I learned and I realized that people were the whole village was actually depending on her, you know, as in from the motorcycle people, from the boda people, from the, you know, as in everybody was literally crying. So at some point I remember in the village, I sat in one corner and I was just looking at everyone and I would want to hear, why is this one crying? Then you realize this one is saying, oh, so who will dress me? And then strange enough, in the funeral, every cloth, it's like every woman, as in if not 90, maybe 90 or 95% of the women were just wearing clothes that I know. If I look at this one, I know this one because I'm the one who bought it. You know, most of the things are the ones I'm the one who was sending them from Dubai. So I'm looking at this one, I think I know this material. This was mommy's. Everybody was mourning, but everybody was mourning for a different reason. To an extent, I found myself, I couldn't even cry because, oh my goodness, because I was looking, so mom was feeding this one too. Because apparently everybody was crying, who will feed me? How will I survive? How will I eat? How will I dress? How will I do this? Oh, who will be taking care of me? As in, she was taking care of him. Okay, she used to have this philosophy. Should I call it a policy or a philosophy or whatever? In her house, she will never, let's say we are cooking ugali, for those for those who are Kenyans, those who speak Swahili, we know ugali. Whenever she cooks food, food shouldn't be finished in the pot. If the food is finished, it means people are not full. Her theory was the food has to remain, even on your plate. The food has to remain. It means you're full. At least that one explains that you're full. But her food, she used to cook even for the chicken. As in the food, there's always food. She could pass on the street and look at someone, and this one looks. No, it's as if, hey, have you eaten? Okay, come. So people she doesn't know. As in even people in the street. So you know what? The strangest thing is that even in our village, she couldn't put a fence. She left it open so that people could cross. In her theory, she felt when people will cross the village, when strangers cross, she will feed them, and that for her it will make her feel better. It used to make her feel good, you know? Yes. So, but her generosity, all through her generosity, what I learned is all through her time when my mom was still alive, money was really flowing. You know, those sorts of, now even we as the kids, you'll find every time God will make sure I get it to send it to her, for her to give it to dash whoever he was dashing, you know. And during her funeral, people were coming from, you'll find this, as in even was it a governor or the minister of her area? She even came and said, so that is that woman. As in everybody knows that woman. Everybody knows that woman. I had to learn a lesson, and I saw it. Look at what generosity could do. You know? So her generosity, sincerely speaking, it touched all of us as a family. And we honored, we respected her, we loved her. And so because of this memorial, I don't want the video to be too long. I'm here because I know she's watching me from wherever she is. I know she's in heaven watching me and watching over us as her kids. And we loved her. On her funeral, we printed t-shirts which were written "Irreplaceable, sweet mama." She was irreplaceable, and she will never be replaceable. We still love her. We have her in our hearts, and in everything we are doing, whenever we do have family gatherings, we'll always be talking about her because she really molded a huge part of our lives as his kids. And mama, we love you, your kids love you, and we'll treasure you forever. Now, I'm not trying to throw a pity party, by the way. Don't feel sorry for me because I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I still love her. She's happy wherever she is. I know that she is with the angels. She's okay. But then if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe. And I need a thumbs up. I love you all. Remember, you are special, and each and every of your stories is special. Do not care what people think about your story. Okay? So I love you, and take care of yourself. Love you.